This episode of All in the Delivery is brought to you by Haley Bug Creations. Any sticker or decal that you want, she can make. You want to customize? She can do that too. Check out her Etsy shop. The link is in the episode description. There you will find a large variety of different decals and stickers made from premium vinyl that is sure to last. So guys, get yourself or someone you know, a Schmedlex, Smiley, or whatever company they work for. Get them a sticker, okay? You will not be disappointed. They will not be disappointed by the quality of these decals. And now, let's get on with the show.
I'm good. I'm ready.
All right. Here we go. We're recording in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody, and thank you for joining us on another episode of All in the Delivery. This is episode 78.
78. Yeah.
78. Holy
Yeah.
cow, 78.
It's one ahead.
What the heck? This is crazy. So here we are, 78. Guys, I am your host, Dave, and let's go around the table, all right? Let me introduce to you my co-host all the way down in West by God, Virginia.
Fuck.
Luke. How's it going, buddy?
Well, it's another time that I always laugh when I say it because we do have a guest on tonight, and every time when he says all the way down, and a guest that's on is pretty far south of me, so it always makes me laugh because they're way down south of up south. Dave, like I said, we've only had one guest I think that I know of. Shout out to Sean Avery, that's been north of you, I think.
Yeah.
But no, all's going well, man. Week is, I mean, it's young, but starting off smooth. Can't complain. The weather is looking. I mean, it snowed a little bit last night, but from what I see, it's supposed to be in like the 50s and 60s at the end of the week. So yeah,
Yo,
no complaints here.
happy Valentine's Day, by the way. Today's Valentine's Day when we're recording.
Thank you, man.
Just in case if we need a day, let's remember to love each other.
Boy, I'll tell you what, I that one fucking caught me off guard. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
But I was just telling the Rogans. Just telling the Rogans before we got on here that me and you were just talking about it earlier because like you were like, oh shit, like I scheduled our guest on the Valentine's Day. You're like, do you still want to do that? And
I just wanted to make sure nobody got in trouble because I was like, damn, I wasn't
by their significant other. Where do you think you're going?
No, yeah, I mean they all blend. Fuck, it's on Monday. It's on a Monday
Exactly.
too. But
And like I told you, like the only days that are important to like me and Danielle are just like birthdays.
Valentine's Day, I've
Like,
never
that's
been
it.
a fan of anyway, no matter what, because I feel like it's just commercialized bullshit.
Yeah, like
I
Joe
don't want
Rogan
to
said
bring it
before,
into,
it's-
so I'm not going to get it.
It's Hallmark Day.
Yeah, call it Homework Day.
Exactly. And hey, speaking of the Rogans, let me introduce to you them. You guys know them. They're still rolling strong. The Rolling Rogans. How are you guys?
Oh, okay.
Hey,
Fantastic.
yeah, man, we're good. Still rolling, like you said. Still in Sacramento, California.
Nice.
Yep.
Sacramento, yes.
Yeah, we'll be heading down towards San Francisco later this week.
Awesome.
Selling more beds.
And Valentine's Day is definitely like not a day for us. Like we do not celebrate. Our first fight was on Valentine's Day like 24 years ago, something like that.
Mhm.
And because the stupid expectations of like you have to show like your love, it's like bullshit.
I celebrate it every day except Valentine's Day to my lovely wife.
It's like those you ever see the meme that's like, you know, couples that have to spread their love all over Facebook?
Yeah.
You ever see that meme? It's just like, okay. I mean, like, that's why you'll never see me post anything about Danielle unless it's like her birthday, you know? Or like,
yeah, birthdays and anniversaries. Those are the,
Right.
you know, And I'd rather have flowers on a different day than on a holiday.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
take me out to
That's what I'm
dinner on a
talking
different day than 3 hours at Outback that we waited in
Okay,
college.
we don't have to go there. We don't have
Joe,
to
are
go
you
there.
taking notes, bud?
Yes, I've.
Well, after
I've
all this
learned-
time, he knows.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many years you guys been married?
I know.
We married 21, but together
Yeah.
for 25.
25.
just
Yeah,
busting
yeah, he gets it. It's burned in there by
Yeah,
now.
she's been a huge distraction for my whole life.
Well, thank you guys for being here, as always.
Thanks for having us. You guys rock.
Thank you. And
Brother.
last but not least, here, going around the table before our guest, Nate, our producer. Nate, how are you, buddy? Nate.
Oh, we didn't get the book on tape voice tonight.
Ah, I don't know
Nate.
where he went.
Well, he's a man of few words, and he's a man of fewer words tonight, folks.
He had a ride along earlier, though.
You can insert some audio into this if you edit it. I love you, brother. Yeah.
Hey, good talking to you. So we have a very. He just muted himself again. See what happened though? He unmuted and he just muted.
Yeah. See,
He's fucking with us.
Jesus.
See, look, he just unmuted. Maybe he's having issues. I don't know. Nate, good seeing you though. Before, guys, we got a very special guest joining us tonight. She is way down south, further than Luke, as Luke mentioned. And guys, we are so excited to have her on. Please welcome to the show, Starla. Starla, how are you?
Hey guys, what's up?
oh, just I'm pumped. So glad we were able to get this to work because it worked out fast. It was like because I was like,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, it worked out good. I'm glad. We're stoked to have you on. And
I don't have a life, so
well,
I don't have
I
a
mean,
life, so
we're all in the same.
I
I
work and I
mean,
come home.
honestly, I can't. I mean, even I ran around some Saturday, but even as we record this, the Super Bowl was yesterday, and I didn't even like. I hate to say this, and shout out to Ernie Martinez, past guest. Your Rams did win. They retired my Bucks. Well, they didn't retire my Bucks. They retired my fucking quarterback that I had. But congrats anyway, buddy. But I didn't see the end of it. I literally woke up after the fact, like literally right when it ended. But I didn't see the winning touchdown or nothing. And but yeah, I mean, I went to my in-laws and my parents, and I was like exhausted. So it makes me laugh. He's saying that because I'm thinking, man, there was a time in my life where I would have just laughed at myself passing out. I mean, what was it our time? It wasn't even 10 o'clock. I was out. took a nap for tonight, thankfully. I got off super early.
There you go.
Good deal.
There you go. So, Starla, let's hear a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you got started with the company.
I am from Texas, born and raised. I got started with a company, so it was kind of it's kind of weird how I don't even know how it really became a thing. I remember so I originally went to college. I have a degree in computer science. I worked in computers for 15 years. I worked at a software company. And I was actually still working at a software company. I manage a software team at the software company. And I had already gone through a divorce and stuff, and I just kept trying to find like a part-time job, and I kept trying to get hired on it. And I tried for like 4 years, and finally they called me back. It was during peak of 2007. They're like, hey, we need some preloaders. Will you want to load a truck? I'm like, sure, let's go. So I did preload during that season, and then they hired me on at a different location a few months later, which is the location I'm at now in Lamarck. And I want to say I worked there. I think I did preload for about 3.5 years. and my company was doing bad and they ended up laying me off. So I was like, well, I already work at, let me try driving. But unfortunately at the time I had a speeding ticket, so I didn't qualify for driving. I had to wait, I think, like 5 more months. So I started my own dog business where I was not really dog business, but animal, where I was pet sitting, walking dogs, basically just looking after any pets. I mean, I looked after cows, dogs, cats, goats, you name it, chickens, ducks. I was there. I was like, you know what, whatever animal you got, we can work it out. So I was like, I was all about making some money. So I did that until I was able to drive, and then I became a 22-4. That was when they started the whole 22-4 thing. So they're like, oh, hey, let's get you in here. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's go. So that's how it all worked out.
That's awesome. So how long, sorry, Luke, how long have you been driving? Did you say?
I've been driving, this is going in June, it'll be 3 years. So a little over 2 years. Yeah.
Awesome. Sorry, Luke, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, because 22-4s now for us, we've had them for almost a year. Do they, at your center, do you ever have to, I know you ran air tonight, but do they ever try to force you to work on Mondays, like to run a regular route?
Sometimes, I there for a while right before peak. I'm basically the only 22-4 that's like, if you need me on a Monday, as long as you give me another day off, I'm okay. And it kind of worked out because I liked having Wednesdays off. I don't know. It just I was like, I work 2 days, have a day off, work 2 days, have a day off. So I kind of got stuck on that routine. And then I just got to the point where they weren't giving me enough hours on Monday. I was maybe working like 2 or 3 hours. And I was like, that's stupid. I can work Wednesday and work 8 hours. So why, so recently it's just kind of like if you give me the hours, I'll work. But other than that, I'm just like, whatever, I'll take whatever day off you give me. But they don't force me to work. If they ask me, they're like, hey, you think you can come in? I'm like, sure. But they haven't really needed any extra help on Mondays recently. So that kind of helps out, other than just them asking me to run air for them real quick. But that's like an hour, if that. So I try to go a little early and help them on local sport, because that's like my old crew. Because after I was worked preload, my job got mad because I wasn't coming in to work till about 10:30, 11 o'clock. So they're like, you need to change your schedule because we need you here in the mornings. And even though I was working preload, I was still managing my team at the other company. I was working preload, loading trucks. I'm on conference calls. Yeah. Software's going down. My employees are calling me. I'm calling other techs. I was like, it wasn't like I was working, but I guess to them, they're thinking like the VP, his office was a couple doors down from mine. If something goes down, his main thing was to get up and walk into my office to find out what's going on, but I wasn't there. And so to him, I wasn't working because I wasn't in my office. But I'm like, I'm on the phone with him on a conference call, but yet I'm not working. Okay. So I was like, whatever. So they kind of forced me to change my schedule. And so I started working on local sport. And so I just always, I don't know. I pretty much work anything at now.
Little did they realize, not only were you also working, but you were doing some labor shit on them conference calls. And so if you're doing that during preload, yeah, they could say that'd be hard to be like, yeah, I might not be in the office. So you got to see where I'm at. Yeah, shit.
Right. And I was working 24/7 though when I was with that company, because I was the manager of the software team. So anything that happened, it was, I was always the one to get in the call. 2:00 in the morning, the servers go down, my phone's going off. I'm calling these people trying to get, and it's just like, I was constantly working, and I was just like, I don't know how much I could take of this anymore. It was just nonstop. So I'm not gonna lie, when I went straight to driving, I was like, I really like this because I don't have to deal with anybody. I come home and then I go home and I don't have to worry about anybody calling me and asking me stupid questions.
Yeah, because if you even have to work a 12-hour day, it's still better than having to deal. I've never had to deal with, but I have a good friend of mine who he was a dispatcher for like I don't want to say it was a trucking company, but they did like big equipment rentals or something. I forget what it was, but he would be on call sometimes. And we're diehard. We're West Virginia WVU fans here. So like they would play on a Saturday or something and play away. If I would go over there and he was on call, and that wasn't on like a 24/7 thing like you had to deal with. But just like if I would be over there, say like if it was like an afternoon game and I got over there at like noon, if I was there, for a while, holy shit. I was like, dude, I don't know how you deal with this shit. That was literally he didn't have to deal with it like that. So kudos. I wouldn't have been able to that's amazing. Your head didn't explode having to do that.
I mean, sometimes I wanted to. I'm sure. I mean, I
sure.
had my days where I was just like, as soon as my phone rang, and I had two phones because I had a work phone and then I had my phone. And it was just like constant blowing up. And I'm just like, these people will not leave me alone. And sometimes I would cover for, we've had online, like we'd have weekend support for emergencies, but it was emergencies only. So only if something goes down. But of course, you get the people calling, like, I'm getting an error message or this isn't working. And I'm like, but it's not an emergency. This is strictly for emergencies. And you're calling me at 2:00 in the morning because you can't get your monitor to work. Like, that's not my problem. But, it was just, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty rough. And then once it was done, I was just like, I don't know what to do with my life because I was working so much that it was just like a complete stop. And I was just like, oh, what? And I always had my laptop and stuff with me wherever I went because you never know when something happens. You got to pull out your laptop, start working and stuff. So all my friends were just so used to me, like, oh, I'm on call, but don't worry, I'm still coming. I'll just have all my work stuff with me, like in the middle of the restaurant, and I'm like pulling out my laptop. I'm like, oh my god, the servers are down. So yeah, definitely don't miss that. I'm not gonna lie.
I can't imagine so.
The company went under and then you started working no, you worked both jobs, you said. So the company went under.
I worked both jobs. Yeah.
So did you quit and then the company went under?
No, they actually laid me off.
They laid her off.
So they had been doing pretty bad. And it was a gym software company. So we had like, you come in, you scan your card at the gym and stuff. It was whatever software that they're using is similar to what we sold and stuff or that we managed.
I gotcha.
So, it was just.
So whenever these places,
what the whole point of the question was.
No, I was just asking. So like basically like whenever people have these issues and maybe their cards don't scan, that's when they call you guys for like technical support.
Yeah, like if the software wasn't working and the people at the front desk couldn't figure out, they call my team and my team would be like, they would remote into the computer, try to figure it out, what's the problem, all that. So yeah, it was terrible. Just, and I mean, you can only imagine like,
that's what I was just thinking, how often that happens. Like,
oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
And then it's like all over. So, I mean, I've talked to so many people.
Like it's not just Houston. It's not just Texas,
it's not just Houston. It's New
around.
York, and I mean, I've had all kinds of crazy beefhead guys like, do you know who I am? And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I don't. Like, you got the roid guys on there, like all mad, like, oh, the mouse is not working. Like, well, maybe if you calm down and just breathe, stop breaking stuff. I know, right? I was like, stop with the roids, dude. Shit.
I would definitely think driving's much better than having to deal with that.
Definitely, yes. Being cussed out, yelled at for stupid stuff. I mean, it's just, I mean, you just imagine, I mean, I did IT work for 15 years. So just, I've heard it all, just the silly things like, I have a weird error message and you log into their computer and it says their password expired. And I'm like, what part of weird does that mean for you? Like it said you need a new password. So type in a new password.
So
like, I don't think I could do this anymore.
Oh God. This is why I never could have anything. Low tech Tommy here. I'd be like, God, I'd be the worst nightmare. I'd be like,
yeah. So that's exactly what I wanted to ask you, Starla, was like, can you tell us like something like what was the dumbest question you ever got asked working there? Like what was like the most
Oh my gosh.
basic
I'm trying to
average
think.
white thing that ever happened out
I
there?
mean,
Yeah.
I would mostly say like it and it's there's so many things, and I wish I could remember. And I'm not gonna lie, there are sometimes I would record stuff because I wouldn't want to forget things.
Yeah.
And I lost a bunch of that stuff when I quit working there. But you know, I'd have I want to say, you know, them calling in because, you know, of course, them getting error messages and it's saying that their password's reset, or they're saying my monitor's not working and it's not even freaking plugged in. Or I'm just, it's so, I mean,
Like just
and I
simple
can't think
stuff.
of anything. Yeah, it's just little
Right.
simple things, but you're just thinking in your head, like, are they serious right now? Like, and then we had like the most common thing, you know, and that's how it is when you call support. First thing I'm going to tell you to do is reboot your computer because it helps so much.
Right.
And everybody's just like, how come I call y'all? Y'all just tell me to reboot my computer. And I'm just like, and then they reboot it and then it starts working. And I'm like, what are you gonna say now?
I got a hilarious. This is a funny story. You will laugh at. So I know you listened to some early episodes, Starla, but if you've seen with my grandmother is 100. She's 100 years old now. She is doing well, and I'm just the apple of her eye. Like, you know, I'm one of those things I can't do. And I mean, like this. So what happened was, and she looks at me like a 6-year-old still at 37. You know, it's also one of those things. You know, I'm always a kid to her, no matter how old. Like, to give a quick side story, for me to get to the Pittsburgh airport, it's literally an hour and a half. I hop on the highway one way, follow a few road signs. Like, she was just freaked out. My dad, like, I was 25 years old at this time. I'd been to the airport. Like, it's one of those anyways. So, but, so her cable wasn't working, and it was Time Warner then. I forget they got bought out now. She had Time Warner cable. All I ever knew, this is all I knew. And my grandmother at this time was probably like, she might have been like 90, 89, around there. She lived by herself and drove a car till she was 97. So she was still doing like she was with it and doing like, she's low tech, you know, she's born in 1921. So she didn't like, she's on the phone with somebody. My aunt is there, but she had ran out or something. So my grandmother's trying to, you know, she's just lost. So all I ever knew to do is just unplug the back, plug it back in, and it reboots. And if that doesn't work, call the number. That's all I knew, you know? So my grandmother, I come over, and like I said, my aunt was out because she probably would have known to do this, but so I do that, and it starts back up, and the TV comes on. You would have thought I just fucking landed. I just put somebody on the moon. Like, she was like, yeah, well, you know, whoever I was on the phone, you know, just thinking, she was like, oh, you're something, like thinking, wow, man, I almost felt bad but she was so proud. And like, I know she probably told everybody. That was literally all I do. If that wouldn't have worked, I'd have been a failure. But that was my little funny little text story.
What did that have to do with the airport?
Gosh.
Huh?
I said, what did that have to do with the airport?
The airport, I was using that as an example when I said I drove to the airport, and I get on the highway, and I don't go, like, it's not hard to get to the airport. And my dad said she was free. I was saying that she looks at me like a kid. So when I was 25 years old and I drove to the airport, my dad said she called like 6 times, was like, is he okay? Does he know how to get there? Like, kind of like, I was 25, and I was 6. So yeah, sorry. That's where the airport came into play.
Like, I was like, were you driving?
No,
I was just,
or what? No, I was trying to use that as an example and just inserted it too vaguely. But yeah, she just looks at me like I'm a first grader. maybe a 6th grader, but I might be in middle school by now.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
Oh shit.
So,
Oh my goodness.
Starla, what's this rumor about roller derby?
Oh
No, it
man.
wasn't a rumor.
Yeah, it's not a rumor. Yeah, I played roller derby for about 4 years, I want to say. Yeah, life of roller derby. I can't even talk. Life of a roller derby girl is usually not a very long one, just because it's hard on your body. Like it's almost bad. Like I want to say football. Like you're getting hit, you're falling.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've had two. I think I tore my PCL. I want to say like a year before I actually stopped skating, and the only reason why I actually stopped skating was because I broke my leg, and it was very bad. I had to have surgery and stuff. Um, I broke my tibia, my fibia, I broke my ankle, and I dislocated it all at once. So when that
From roller derby.
happened, that was just and that was just practice. Like, I mean, we had games once a month. We practiced 2-3 times a week. And we were actually getting ready for there's a tournament called Battle of the Bank, and it's basically any of the teams that are qualified for bank track, which is the inverted tracks. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with those.
A little bit.
The team that I used to play with, we started out flat track, but then we raised money and did all this stuff, and we actually built our own bank track. So, and when I say we built it, like I have pictures of me freaking with, like I was putting screws in there. I'm doing stuff too. I was cutting metal and shit. Like I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Someone's showing me. I'm like, oh, okay, I got this. I like this machine. I never used it before. But yeah, we built our own bank track, and so the Battle of the Bank is a tournament that all the bank track girls come together. I know that they've had it in Arizona, Austin, and so we were getting ready that year for it. And it was in May. It was actually the beginning of June was when the tournament was. And 2 weeks before that, me and the team, we were on it. It was an all-star team, basically. So I was on the all-star team, and we were practicing, and I was late to practice, which I'm late to everything. And I'm late to everything, so everybody already knows that. But I got there late, and my captain was like, "You're jamming 2 times in a row," which jamming is like the main chick that earns the points for the team. And so she had me on there, and the second time around, I was coming around the apex, and a girl hit me from, I want to say, I was this way. Yeah, she hit me from the left, and then a girl hit me from the right. And when I went down this way, you just heard like a snap, and I grabbed my leg, and I remember rolling over, and I was like, fuck. And I looked up, and I saw the bottom of my skate. Like my foot was hanging on the side of my leg.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, that's not right. Like something, I'm like, somebody.
God, leg injuries freak me out too. God,
I was like, oh man. So luckily we had some girls that were nurses, and they had me laid out, and they were trying to get stuff prepared before they had to call the ambulance and fire department. I had like a whole fire. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little embarrassed, because with the bank track, you can't just crawl out of it. You can't climb it. You have to you can't walk out of it. You have to climb out of it. So for someone who has a broken leg, it's not easy for someone to get out of there. So they had to call the fire department. They had to put me on a what are those things called?
Gurney.
Gurney, yes, one of those boards. And they had like 5 guys on the outside, 5 on the inside, and they were like handing me over to get me out just to put me in the ambulance. And man, that ambulance ride was probably the worst ride of my life. I was just like, because the ambulance people got there after the nurses that I skated with already kind of wrapped my leg up. They were already prepared. So they thought I just sprained it. So when I'm laying there in the ambulance, and excuse me, and I hear them call the ER, and they're like, yeah, we have a possible sprain. And I'm like, what? I'm like, did you not see this?
Dangle foot
I'm like,
dangling.
you can't give me like anything right now. And they're like, no. And so the whole way there, I swear they're hitting every freaking pothole that you can think of in the road. Those things suck. And my foot was not like, it was not tied down or anything. So every bump they hit, my foot's just like,
Oh my God.
and so they finally get there, and I'm probably the worst person in the ER. Like, I'm screaming at people because I was insulted. By this time, I had no pain medicine. All of the adrenaline wore off. I'm like in so much pain, and I'm telling them, I'm like, y'all need to give me something now. Like, I'm about to freak out on somebody. And luckily, there was a girl that she was a nurse, and she actually used to skate with me, but she was pregnant at the time. And so she saw my name on the chart. She came over to check on me, and she's like, oh no, I noticed it was Wednesday. I knew it was practice day. And she's like, are you okay? And I was like, Rami, you need to tell them to give me some medicine now. Like, okay, let me go to the doctor and see what happened, because they had already took my x-rays and that's what they were waiting on. Yeah. And so I'm watching her because I'm like right on the edge of the ER, and I look at her and I'm watching her walk to the doctor. And she walks up to the doctor. Another nurse hands him the x-rays, and he looks up at the x-rays and he looks at the the nurse, and he goes, give her the highest dosage of morphine you can. And I was like, oh, thank you. Finally. And they were like, have you had any food? I was like, no, but just give it to me. They're like, it might make you sick. I'm like, just put it in the IV.
Fucking right.
So yeah, they finally gave me medicine. I mean, I was like screaming and freaking out. Like, my mom was sitting in the corner crying because she was freaking out because of how freaked out I was. But they didn't realize how bad it was.
I couldn't imagine because I've never.
But
God.
Oh
yeah,
man.
You said it
like
was.
I even had.
It was 3. It was your. What'd you break?
I broke my tibia, my fibia, my ankle, and then I dislocated my ankle. So, and I have x-rays. I'll have to send y'all the x-rays of kind of what we could see. But
God, it's like a train wreck. I gotta see it though. I had took a picture of when I was actually in the ER, and the first thing somebody was like, why is your foot purple? They could not get over the fact that my foot was purple. I'm like, because it's dislocated. Like, I'm not sure I was getting quite the right amount of blood pumped into it, but it turned purple. And then having to sit there and wait for the doctor to come and actually set my ankle, that was a whole nother thing, because then they had to give me a shot in my ankle with a needle that was like this freaking big. And I swear that thing hurt worse than even the lady sitting there just playing with my ankle, trying to get it in the right spot. And I'm just sitting there watching her move my foot around, and I'm just like, she just click, and I was like, ah! But yeah, I had to have surgery. But my swelling was so bad that they had to wait probably like 2.5 weeks before I could even actually have surgery on it. And I had 2 plates. I had a plate put on both sides of my tibia and my fibia. And I had 4 pins and 5 screws.
Wow.
Yeah.
How, I didn't ask, how old were you when you were doing this roller derby?
I started, I think I was like 22.
Okay.
And then around 22, I think my accident happened when I was like 25, 26.
So it was before
you
started driving and all
that. Oh,
stuff.
way before I driving. Yeah. Luckily, I was at a desk job at the time, so I was still in IT, and luckily I didn't have to. I wasn't really allowed at that job. We weren't able to work from home. They didn't have the capability of doing that. So I was on leave for probably a good 2.5 months before I could because I couldn't even drive. I mean, even working when I worked in IT, I always drove an hour to hour and a half to work because most jobs were in Houston or on the other side of Houston, and I lived further south. So it was definitely a drive, and then having to get used to it. And then they're like, oh yeah, you can go back to work. And I'm like, I got this boot on my leg. How am I going to drive? They're like, figure it out.
Figure it out.
So I was driving around with casts and stuff on my leg. Like, I didn't tell them I was doing it, but I was like, I'm home by myself. I'm hungry. My car's parked in the garage. I'm in PJs. So what I would do is I would, because I was also in a wheelchair too. So I had a wheelchair, and then I had crutches. So I'd crutch myself to my car, leave the crutches in the garage, leave, because I was married at the time. So I actually had help. And so I would leave, go get food through a drive-through, and then come home and then crunch myself back inside. And I'm like sitting there watching TV. Then my ex-husband would come home and be like, "How did you get all this food?" And I was like, I started driving. Like, I don't think you're supposed to be driving. I'm like, I don't care, whatever. I was hungry. Fuck it.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
I
That's
just
a
was
brutal
thinking that, I mean, yeah, because the velocity and movement, like that's one thing doing it like that. Cause I played football and stuff, but that's total different. That's a total different beast,
Oh,
which you
yeah.
were dealing with, because that's moving way faster. You're not really I mean, you're on your feet, but you're on rollerblades. It's totally different. Like I couldn't, holy shit.
I've seen some bad, like, and that's not even like, that's just, I've seen a girl just skating, like just not even, we weren't even playing anything. We're just like skating around the roller rink, just having whatever time, not even doing anything. And this girl just falls over and we're like, what the heck's wrong with her? So we kind of just passed her after time. And then we come back to her and she's like, I think I broke something. We're like, are you sure? Because you weren't even doing anything, but okay. So she starts to take off her skate and I'm standing there and all I saw was bone. And I was like, oh shit, no, I can't. I had to leave. I was like, that was the first time I've ever seen anybody with an actual like compound fracture. Like and it was underneath her boot. So when she took her skate off and pulled her sock down and I just saw a bone sticking out this way, I was like, oh, nope, somebody's got to come get her. Like she really did break something, and she wasn't even doing anything. So
there was
I felt bad.
Another good friend of mine, he ruptured one Achilles. I don't know if I may have told this story on a past episode, but just to say it real quick, of nonchalant like that, it's crazy how like I wouldn't say it wasn't a bone. It wasn't that hardcore, but he ended up rupturing his other Achilles over nothing. Like it was. Long story short, I was playing, it was at a bachelor party, but like a laid back bachelor party. Like we were camping. There was an old basketball court next morning, people drinking coffee. There's three of us out there. It was him, myself, my cousin. There's this old half deflated basketball. We're about to leave. I just shoot it. He jumps up, doesn't jump against, and just jumps up, half-ass jump, and comes down. He's like, I just ruptured my Achilles. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I felt it. It's just like the other one. Yeah, I got to go. And I was like, the fuck are you talking about? And then he said, feel it. And then he was like, feel it. There won't be anything there. And when I went to feel it, like I said, leg injuries kind of freaked me out anyway. And when my fingers, I was like, oh God, we got to get you to the hospital. It's like, holy shit. Yeah, it's amazing how some people can just shrug that shit. It's
I know. And, I used to be one of those people, even though like before I broke my leg, I've broken both my arms twice and I had already broken my ankle before too. And I could watch all day, like people breaking stuff, hitting metal, arms getting up, and it's all crooked and stuff. And I'm all like, oh. As soon as I broke my leg after that, now I'm like, like I can't. I'm just like, nope, turn it off, because it brings back like those it's just the feeling and the memories, and then thinking like, I still have pain from it to this day. Like I had to have one of the plates taken out because one of the screws was coming unscrewed near my ankle, and the tendons on my ankle wasn't moving properly. So I'd just be walking and all of a sudden it was just like my foot would just stop working. And so I went to the doctor and they're like, yeah, we got to take that out because the screw's coming undone. And so then I also had a piece of screw that broke inside my bone they can't get out because the guy was actually supposed to remove it before I started walking. And he didn't. And so another doctor was like, yeah, that should have been removed before you even were allowed to put weight on it, because now that you broke it, we can't get it out, because when we unscrewed it from the other side, there's like maybe this much left in my bone on the inside of the bone. So he's like, that could always be something in the future. So now like when it gets cold or something, or if I step wrong on my ankle, it's like next week I'm over here limping. Everybody's like, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, it's just my ankle. Like I'm so used to it now, it's just walking around, you're like in constant pain all the time anyway. So
This is the
Perfect
most I've
example.
ever cringed during an episode.
He is
He's
over
painted
there.
pictures in my mind tonight. I was just like, God.
Well,
Brutal.
I
Well,
had
and
a.
Brutal.
No, go ahead. Go
okay.
ahead. You're good.
Oh, I was just gonna say a couple weeks ago, I actually was delivering in somebody's yard, not delivering in their yard, but I was walking back, and for some reason, I was walking through the front yard, and I guess there was like a little gap in the grass, and I didn't notice it, and I stepped wrong on it, and my ankle twisted, and that's the first time I want to say that I thought I broke it again, but just the way that I fell, and so I'm sitting in this guy's yard, like rocking back and forth because I'm like, oh.
Like,
He's like, "Are
please.
you okay?" And I was like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I thought I broke my ankle, but I'm good. I'm just trying to recover for a second. Just give me a second. And he's all trying to call 911. I'm like, don't call 911. I'm all limping to the truck. I had to call my boss. I was like, I don't think I broke my leg or my ankle, but I just had to let you know this guy's trying to call 911 and I'm fine. I'm just sore. And she's like, please stop falling. So that's like a thing at work now. Because I fall a lot. So it's like everybody's like, how many times did you fall today? I'm like, shut up, leave me alone.
I had something I wanted to bring up too. And this because this happened. I don't know. I saw this on your Insta story. I think it was maybe a week ago. It could have been 2. When this gets released, it'll be a little bit further down the road. But when you were delivering, was it at a convenience store or something? There was a shooting. A shooting that happened,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. It was actually, so there's a convenience store on the corner of the street, and then right behind it is a house. There's a lot of houses, but right behind it, Catacornia, I literally had just delivered to that house maybe like not even an hour before the shooting happened. So the corner store, I mean, it's kind of a ghetto-ish area. It's not that great of a area, but they had shot 2 people in that area. So they had like the caution tape all the way around to that house because I guess the people had ran from that house or something. And so I was like, oh my God, I literally just delivered to that house. I walked up to the house, put the package down. Probably like 30 minutes later, someone's shooting in the area. So I'm not really sure exactly what happened. I know, if I'm not mistaken, those 2 guys were just injured. But not even maybe an hour or 2 later, another area, probably a couple miles down the road, there was another shooting, which was a road rage, which I had just left that area too. There was another shooting and a guy actually died. And I was just like, what is happening today? Like, why is there shootings in my neighborhoods of where I'm delivering? Like, please stop.
Well, that was like,
yeah, it's not.
Because I was trying to think. Did you say something? Because you called. Did you told your supervisor? Did you had deliveries or something that you didn't?
Yeah,
you
the
weren't going to
apartments
do?
right next
Wisely
door
not
to
going.
it. Oh yeah,
That's-
I was not going in there. There was so the corner store, and then there's 2 apartments that sit right next to it. So when I was delivering, I actually had a ride along that day, and my supervisor was actually in the car with me, which is why I delivered to that neighborhood early before, because I was like, oh, let me get this stuff done before she gets in the car with me, so that way I don't have to come back over here. So that's why I delivered early. Had I not delivered early, I don't know what would have happened. But I had saved those apartments because they're right on the feeder road. So I was like, I'm not going to go there right away. I'll just wait. Well, when I was coming back, there was a business on the other side of the apartments. And that's when I saw the helicopter. And I was like, what the hell's going on? So I walk up to the building and the door's locked. And I was like, that's weird. The doors are never locked. So she opened the door and she's like, hey, sorry, can you take the package next door? She's like, we're on lockdown. And I was like, what's going on? Because I saw cops and everything out because there's also like a big wooded area behind the apartments and stuff too. So I was like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, you didn't hear there was a shooting at the convenience store. And I was like, oh crap. She's like, yeah, the guys got loose. They ran out over here. They're loose in this area somewhere and they're looking for them. And I was like, So when I left there, I drove by the first apartment and I saw probably like 10 cops all standing there with their guns and shit. And I looked over and I was like, nope, I'm not stopping. So I kept going and I called my boss. I was like, hey, Apparently there was a shooting over here. I have some deliveries in those apartments and I'm not going in there. And she's like, okay, that's fine. I was like, I'm not going. She's like, okay, I didn't expect you to go because who knows?
Because they weren't
there.
they were at large still, or did they even get apprehended? Did they get caught eventually?
I have not sure if they've gotten caught since then, but they weren't caught that day for sure. And I know that they were out looking for them. I mean, everybody was on lockdown in that area. Nobody was allowed to leave their house. If I'm not mistaken, the cops were checking every building as far as I know. So that's why I was like, I'm not going in there because knowing me, I'll come across them. They're going to try to jump in the package truck and tell me to take them somewhere. And who knows what could have happened. I'm like, that's just my luck though. That's why I was like, I'm not going to do that. Like I always get caught in weird situations.
That's definitely, I mean, for everybody out there listening. Yeah. If for some reason or, for any reason you're in that situation, it's definitely
don't do it.
Yeah. Roll out, get the fuck out of there. So yeah.
Yeah. It's not worth those 2 packages. I was like, they can wait for their paper. I don't even know what it was. I don't know if it was paper or not. It wasn't, but I was just like, they can wait. Still understand.
Yeah, that would be fucking. God, it'd be crazy. I haven't had, because all I've had to deal with is extreme weather, but I think only one time up where I used to deliver, something happened up there, but it wasn't like I don't even want to say it was a shooting. It was something like a kid shot a gun in the air. You know what I mean? It was like one of those deals, but that I've never had to. But that's the thing though. That's been you see all the time, like trucks getting, especially feeder drivers. I feel like I see that a lot, like getting hijacked and shit. And it's definitely something you got to think. You always got to keep in the back of your mind, because it's not like we're not allowed to carry. I just got a big, that was question of the week answer. If this is the one I think of, I just have a big wooden post. I'd say like the Rock and Walking Tall. That's what I feel like when I have that thing to put chains on tires, but that's about the best. That's about the best I have. That's not doing too well against pistols.
Well, like I'll throw my diet at somebody's head or something. I don't know. Like that's what I think too, because I'm just like, what if we get caught in those situations? Like, I'm a female, so it's different than I've had. I don't know if they still have this, but I know that they had rolled it out at one point, and they might have stopped it where you could actually track your package. And I've had one night I was driving and it was late. I want to say it was probably like 8:00, and I noticed that the vehicle was following me, and I was like, "What the heck is going on?" So when I stopped, there was these 2 guys jumped out, and they're like, "Hey!" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "My package says it's on your truck." And I was like, like, I didn't know what to do, because I'm just like, are you sure? Like, fuck, like, why are you coming up at me like this? Like, it's late at night. Like, no, fool. So, what had happened was, they sent somebody to help me. And so we split the packages up, and his package ended up being on the other truck. So I had to tell him, I'm like, I'm sorry, dude, your package is on the other truck, even though it says it's on mine, because technically I'm supposed to deliver it, but he came to help me. So you're just going to have to wait till it gets to your house. So don't follow me.
That's still out. That
shit's crazy how they can
do
that.
2 weeks ago. I had a customer of mine come
creepy.
to me. Oh, yeah.
It is. That shit. Yeah, I don't like that, because that's a little bit too much, because I've had like the first time it happened to me, it was on the route. But I was covering all the time, and I was covering the route that I lived on. So I used to strategically have it set up, where I'd make it back to my house so I could take my break. And this guy is just like, he didn't follow me, but he literally showed me. He was like, "I've been watching you," and I was like, "What?"
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, your route's all weird, man. You were going backwards." I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he showed me. I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "You literally know exactly where I'm at, huh?" Well, but yeah, that was that was an old shit moment. Yeah, that was the first.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah, because that's what happened to me. Like 2 weeks ago, I was like, I was following you on your phone. I was watching you go, and I was waiting for you to get here. And then you stopped for 45 minutes. I was like, yeah, I was taking my lunch. Like now you know where I take my lunch all the time. So that's great.
Shit.
Great.
Yeah, no.
But-
Well, y'all heard? Was that y'all? Or maybe I read it somewhere where there was actually a driver who was taking his lunch at his house, and a customer actually came and knocked on his house door, wanting to know why he was there. Like, why you've been here for like 30 minutes? Why haven't you
What?
delivered my package? And come to find out, the guy's like, dude, I'm at my house. This is my personal house. My kid, my daughter. He said that the guy was freaking out at him. And when he saw his daughter in the background, that's when he kind of calmed down and was like, oh, shit, I made a mistake. But the guy's like, dude, this is my house. I'm on my lunch break. Like, you can't just randomly show up to somebody's house like that. But yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, it might have been the page that I saw that on.
There was a lot of crazy shit that there was one that got shared around a lot, probably a year or two ago. That was with this. I mean, she was a Karen. She was an elderly. I mean, I don't know how elderly she was. If I had to guess, she was in her 60s, maybe 70s. I don't know, but she was in the truck. And I didn't see the driver. You remember? It was a male driver. That's all I know because I remember his voice. But she was just like, you're here all the time. Like, why can't? And he's like, I'm taking my break. Why can't you take your break somewhere else? It's like, really? What? Like, I don't know. That's amazing how people could get so pissed off with.
Dude, I had that brought a memory to my mind, and this happened to me. So I was taking my lunch, so I was taking my lunch, and I was there's like a couple parking spaces off the road in front of this church. So I was taking my lunch in these parking spaces, and I remember I had a clementine, and I ate the clementine, and then it's like. You peel it off. So like the extra pieces, I just like there's a little piece of woods over there. So I just threw it out the door, like into the woods. And I got a message on my diad like a few hours later. And it was like a customer called in a concern and said you littered clementine and threw a cigarette out. So somebody was watching me from the house, one of those houses across the street from this church.
You smoking cigarettes, not telling me.
I don't even smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke. So like, and like there's like customers calling I was like, I will admit to the clementine, but not the cigarette. Like I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't like, but like, yeah, dude, absolute people are just like, they don't have anything better to do.
No, they don't. They're just like, what?
Yeah.
And then plus, like, I mean, a clementine, like that's fruit, and you're like composting technically.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure an animal probably gonna come by. The deer's gonna come by tonight, probably eat it.
Yeah, pick it up. Yeah.
Fuck.
So weird.
People are just.
Yeah. I was trying to think of anything. I can't think of. I don't have a story of any. I just had I don't think I've ever actually told it on the podcast, but the only thing I can think of where something happened fast was I got one complaint, somehow only one complaint with my music being too loud. And it was not like crazy late, but it was dark. And I just saw like, I don't know, the kid wasn't in bed. Like he was probably
I love this.
He was probably like 8 or 9, if I had to guess. I mean, around that age. Like, I don't even think he was in pajamas or anything, but it was probably like 8:15.
You know which house it was?
Yeah, well, yeah, because I delivered to the house across the street, and like. They came, hey, I don't know. Maybe he was, maybe they fucking were trying to put him in better. I don't know. But anyway, I probably had some Metallica, something fucking, I don't play too hard of stuff too loud.
Yeah.
And like I've said, we've had this discussion, I try it. If it's hard shit or hip hop, it's got to be remote because I can't play that shit loud. Yeah. But, whatever, like this kid his mom it was a look. I was like, damn. Man, I just saw it. I was like, oh God, she's pissed. And I swear, about 20 minutes later, got the green light. I had like 6 stops left. Like, so a customer said, you need to turn your music. Like, shit, man, I knew it. I was like, I'm fucking. It was like she stared. I mean, I knew that was coming, dude. I may as well have just said,
You knew exactly.
you need
who
me
it
to
was.
turn it down now.
Luke goes out in the front yard, holds up his boombox over top of his head.
Oh man,
outside her window.
Yeah,
fuck.
that's all I got. I don't have a quick customer.
Like, I'm surprised I haven't gotten that yet because like I'm already deaf enough as it is. So like my shit's loud. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Dave's a musician, so his hearing is. I thought my hearing was
My
bad,
hearing's
but his
bad.
is worse than mine.
Yeah.
And that's pretty shitty. I'm sorry to say that, but it is.
I know
good.
mine's shitty. Dude, I would love to have a hearing aid right now so I could hear this, like the stuff my wife does, you know? She's like, you hear that? I'm like, no.
My hearing's pretty bad too. I had a lot of ear problems when I was younger. So I sit here and everybody gets, I feel like everybody does get annoyed occasionally because I'll be like, what? Because I say that a lot. And I'm just like, it's like,
oh, that's me.
I hear mumbling sometimes.
And
I'm
you
just
also
like, what? Like, it makes no sense. So,
and I always think with hearing too, because because we've discussed that. I know you listen to was it Black Label Society we were talking about or concert?
yeah, I listen
was it Black
to
Label?
a lot of heavy stuff. Like I grew up, my cousins were a little older than me. I want to say like I was 9 or 10 and they're like in their early 20s listening to Black Sabbath and all of that stuff. So I kind of grew up listening to it and not really like knowing genre. Like I didn't know of genres when I was growing up. And then I only knew of country music at one point, and I was just like, and then I think I got probably like in middle school, and then I realized I was like, oh, I know a lot more music than I thought that I did, because not realizing I hear it, and I'm just like, why does it sound so familiar? My cousin's like, you used to sit there with the thing in your diaper, and you'd be like, ah. I was like, yeah, I don't
Burned in
that,
there.
so.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, dude, I almost, because I have to ask because I didn't even, Dave, I know I'd almost forgotten about it, and I don't know what made me even think about it, but I gotta ask, do you have a helper story before I forget? Have you had any, do you have any classic helper stories, like a good one?
I wouldn't say I have a good one, because last year I didn't have a helper because they had me doing a bunch of bullshit stuff, like, delivering to pods and delivering to little stuff, but I didn't actually have a helper. Now this year they did give us a chance for helpers, or an option for helper. Now at first I didn't choose a helper because I couldn't find anybody that I knew. I was like, I'm not getting stuck with some raggedy person that I don't know, that's not going to work or whatever. And so I chose not to have a helper, but they eventually gave me one, which I never met. So, but I did cover a route on Saturdays where I actually did get a helper, but it was this guy's helper. So the guy that I would cover for, his helper was like a seasoned helper. He helped him every year. He knew what he was doing. So I kind of got spoiled. And so the first time I worked with him, and shout out to Cruz, he works preload too. So he would work preload and then jump on the helper truck and help the guy and then whatever. And so he already knew what he was doing. I never had a helper before. I get in the car with him, and this guy is just on it. And I'm just like, man, this is an easy freaking day. Like, I'm into it. Okay. I was like, I'm down with some helper. Give me a helper. So that next week, they had me on his route again, but the guy couldn't work. He's like, I'm sorry, I can't work today. So they're going to have to give you another helper. And I was like, oh man, okay. So they give me this young girl, and her dad drops her off. First, I tell her, I'm like, hey, can you meet me at AutoZone? She's like, all right, cool. Well, it's on the main street. It's not hard to miss. So she calls me and she's like, I'm here. I'm like, I'm here too. I don't see you. And she's like, did you say auto parts or advanced auto parts? It's like a different auto store that's like down the street. And I was like, no, it's the one across from Popeyes. It said AutoZone. She's like, oh, okay, well, we'll be there. I'm like, okay, cool. She comes. I think she might have been on the truck with me maybe just a couple hours, but I never seen somebody move so slow and she had Uggs on. Shout out, I know how you are with Uggs. She had freaking Uggs on, and it was raining this day too.
Oh
So
no,
she
they were
was
ruined.
walking. She was walking around the puddles, and I'm just sitting on the truck watching her just slowly walk around the puddles. And I'm just like, I texted my supervisor. I was like, dude, I was like, I can't. I was like, why is she going so slow? And he's like, tell her to pick up the pace. I was like, I already mentioned to her that, we got to go a little faster. Like I tried to do the whole like, hey, you take this one, I'll take this one. And I'm still beating her back to the truck. And I was like, finally, I was just like, I felt so bad. I mean, she was a nice girl. And when I went to go drop her off, she was just like, well, if they ever give you a helper and you need someone, call me. I was like, okay, bye. I never saw her again. I was like, oh man, but they gave me another helper too, and he wasn't so bad. He was cool, but yeah, nobody compares to a seasoned helper that somebody already has been helping for 2 years. I was just like, dude, I felt like I was spoiled with that guy. Like he was on it, like he was and he was running across the street. I'd give him a package. I'm like, this house, that house, and I'm over here setting up the thing. He jumps on the truck. We're gone. We're next to the next house. I already had everything ready. I was like, man, this day goes by fast with him. Yeah, not so much with the other helpers.
Helpers like that, they always get moved to whoever. Somebody gets disgruntled enough or high up enough. Shout out to disgruntled Doug in your retirement days. I hope you're enjoying them, brother. But like they would go, like if I had somebody or like any of us, because we haven't been there as long as disgruntled Doug was yet. So if any of us had a good helper, Doug would be like, oh, this person sucks. Give me someone else. They would be, they would probably be like, wow, they look efficient. Let's rip them away from, Luke Davis, Starla, and Hicks. That's always what happened to me, except my first year. And I've told that story. The first helper I ever had was able to dunk a basketball, and he was like 21, and so he was transferring schools as a basketball player. It was awesome. He was a hard worker. He was I had him all Christmas. That was I knew nothing else until my 4th year driving, because after him, I ended up getting another kid that was like 19 that was going to school here, and he was a 2-time state champion wrestler, athlete. He loved hearing all my crazy ass stories, so he was in school, so he helped again. So I didn't have a bad helper until like year 4, and then it's been bad ever since. Never got good.
Yeah. I told him after this year, I was like, I don't want to help her unless it's Cruz, like, or if like maybe we can clone him, because I talked to other drivers, like most of their helpers are not as good as that. And I'm just like, this guy, I'm like, why? I'm like, I know you're not supposed to run, but the dude, like, I get out of the car, I hand him the package, and he's already back. And I'm like, damn, I didn't even have time to look for the next package, and he's already back in the truck. And I'm starting it, and he's throwing a seatbelt on. So I already had my seatbelt on. I'm like, man, we're trucking it. I was like, I'm spoiled. I got spoiled with him for sure. So I was kind of jealous after I had to give the route back to the original driver. I was like, why did you guys take the helper? And what's funny is I had went through preload because, since I still occasionally, I haven't worked preload in a while, but since 22-4s, we're half warehouse, half driving. But right before peak, since they let us pick our helpers, I was going around asking the people that I did know that I worked, and I'm like, I know that they know what they're doing. I don't want to have to explain anything or go over stuff with anybody or yell at anyone. So I had asked a few people, I was like, hey, are you doing driver helper? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, will you be mine? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm already helping so-and-so. I'm like, okay. Well, this one lady that a bunch of people are familiar with, she's really nice. She's always trying to help people out. I had told her I was looking for a driver helper. She's like, oh, this new guy, he's been looking for someone to driver help. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I never met him before. And it was actually the next morning they asked me to come in and help with preload. And I was standing there and they're like, oh yeah, we're waiting on this kid. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, oh, well, it'll give me a chance to get to know him, because she said that he was looking for a driver to help this year. And they were like, oh, and I was like, oh, what does that mean? So I was like, okay, we'll just see. That dude was there for 5 minutes. I was like, nope, not having, I'm not putting his name down. I'm like, even just him laughing, he laughed like the first 5 seconds that he got there, and I was like, and I guess it was just the way that he laughed. Like he came off, I could just tell by somebody's laugh. I was like, nope, I'm not gonna like him.
Can you
Done.
imitate it?
Done.
Oh gosh, let me see. Like I can't.
No
it was fucking
way.
creepy. Like I wish I can. He still works there. I'm gonna have to like try to get him to laugh or something and record it for y'all. But this dude, like, at
shit.
first
The
I
fuck
looked
out of me.
over at him and I thought, fucking joking, right? He doesn't really laugh like that. And then like 2 seconds later, he starts laughing again, and I was like, I'm not gonna be like, I can't deal with this kid. I can't. I mean, he's a nice guy and all, but I mean that laugh, I was like, ooh. I was like, I wouldn't be able to handle that all day.
Oh boy.
It was like weird and creepy, but funny. Like it was kind of like where you want to laugh, but at the same time, you're just like, I don't want to condone it because like it's annoying. But it's like a loud, just obnoxious. Like I can't even do it. Like it's crazy.
Amazing.
If I could ever get him on video, I definitely would try that. I like recording people.
Luke, did I
I'll probably get in trouble.
Yeah, right. Luke, did I ever mention who did I ever say who my first helper was?
Your first helper? No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh, it was Nate.
What? Holy shit.
Yeah, wait. I never told you.
Look at you.
Never told you
No,
this?
actually, I think I did know that.
Yeah,
Nate.
so my first helper was Nate, and then that's how Nate ended up getting into the building up by him, was because he was my helper. So then he started in the local store, and then went into
So Dave's basically saying, Nate, he's planting the seed and just watching you blossom into a fucking full-fledged driver. Just cussing the dispatch and doing everything that they do.
No, but like it was so funny because like I remember one specific day when we were out there on the route and we stopped at like the local convenience store called Stewart's up here, and like he got like everything that was caffeinated like under the sun. He picked it up, like Starbucks double shot, like like all this high caffeinated drinks. And I remember like after he drank it, this dude was like a pinball. He was like bouncing off all the houses, just running shit off, just banging stuff out. And then he comes back, and I remember like a few hours later, he's like, I think I'm starting to crash, man. And the crash happened. I was like, don't worry, I can run some off, bud. I got you. Oh, dude, it was just so awesome. It was awesome. But anyways, that's some great stories, Starla. That was awesome.
It was.
That was we have I feel like do y'all do this at y'all's centers, like where you have a new, and I guess if y'all haven't really been around on preload or anything, but like you get a new preload people and you give them like, you're like, I give that person a day or two, like you just know by just watching them work that they're not going to last very long.
So I preloaded for 5.5 years, and the one thing I when I first started, the classic thing I would always see was I'm going to the bathroom, and then they just would go and never come back.
Never come back.
So there, and it got to the point where, yeah, I feel like you could always see it in their eyes because, oh my God, this is going to sound terrible. Anybody that's looking to work here, just brace for impact, I guess. I mean, it's not that I had a blast preloading. Some of my best years, I mean, of life. I had fun, but it just, I mean, you can see it in their face because I think some people just think right away. They're thinking they're going to get to that top of that apex right away. They hear all the good stuff of like top rate driver shit, and they, I feel like I don't know if not everybody, like when I started there, I didn't plan on staying. I wasn't intending on staying there. So when I started preloading, I wasn't one that was thinking that way anyway, but I think some people I think that's part for some. I don't know. I feel like they just feel like it's something, then they realize like, oh shit, like you know what I mean. And
They have to work.
yeah, you got to work. This is, you got to wake up at weird times. This is labor, and yeah, I feel like if you've preloaded long enough, you can definitely tell who's going to make it. I mean, the people that only going to make it a day are easy because you can see that real quick. The people that make it like a few weeks or might quite almost get to their 30 days and then quit. They're a little harder to read, but yeah, the ones that quit fast, yeah, I feel like you could be like, yep, I see it. It's
that's
there.
actually, there was a guy that started with me when I started at this location. Since I had already preloaded, they didn't really train me. They were just like, oh, you kind of already know what you're doing. No big deal. We're going to give you 2 trucks. So what they did was they gave the new guy that started with me, they gave him 1 truck. So he had the truck in front of me, and then I had 2 trucks, and then it went on with the rest of the people. Well, so we're sitting there and we're loading, and he's like, man, I need to go to the bathroom. Can you grab my packages for me? And I was like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. So I'm grabbing his packages. I'm just throwing them in the truck because I assumed he was coming back because he said he was going to the bathroom. And I'm just like, man, it's been 20 minutes. This guy I was like, man, I'm like, is he still in the bathroom? Like, I had to tell one of the guys, I was like, can you go check, see if he's in the bathroom? And they came back, they're like, nobody's in there. And I was like, this motherfucker. So I called the supervisor. I was like, hey, this truck needs to be loaded. I was like, the guy left. That's like, I'm not loading that shit. So I was like, I'll load my 2 trucks. You got to find somebody else to do that.
The bathroom break to the sunset.
Nuh-uh. I was like, he's not here. So they walked out and they went to go look for his vehicle, and his vehicle was gone. I was like, I told y'all, he fucking left. They're like, damn. They're like, where did he go? I was like, he said he went to the bathroom and he never came back.
I was going to say, I saw your face when I said that. So I thought, I was like, I bet she's got a good story.
That's how it goes. They always say they're going to the bathroom and they never come back.
True.
So true.
It's true.
Like there's a hidden door in there. Like it's like a little chute that just takes them outside.
Right.
Like a trap door. They flush the toilet and it slides them out and they just disappear off the face of the earth because nobody ever saw him leave the building because the bathroom is like upstairs and there's like a bunch of offices and people out by the door. So it's like no one ever saw him leave the building. We saw him go to the bathroom and he never came back. And we're like, I didn't even see him come down the stairs. Like, yeah, it was funny. And I felt, and part of me kind of felt bad because it was almost like they were testing him because he had the very first truck. And I don't know about y'all centers, but in our center, the first few trucks are hell because I mean you're just getting stuff like right out the bat, and the belt's just like going, and he's like chunking stuff, and he's not knowing what the heck's going on. So,
but it makes sense to do that with new drivers or with new loaders, right? Yeah. It makes sense to put them there. Yeah.
Right. See if they can handle it. If you can handle this, you can handle the rest of the belt. Go for it, dude. So, goodness. I mean, and I wouldn't say like I've had some rough days where we've been so shorthanded. One time, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say I loaded like, and this was right before peak season. I want to say like 2019, maybe 2020, right before. Oh no, it was before Corona. So it was probably 2019. There was a day we didn't have any of these guys show up, and I was the only loader in the back. And I want to say there's probably about 10 trucks, but probably about 14 routes that I was loading by myself for the first 4 hours until they could get when they finally had to get a supervisor to help me. But before that, I was back there just chunking stuff. I'm like, I'm doing the best I can. Like I got 14 trucks. Fuck y'all.
Awesome.
Fun time.
All right, so let's move it forward here to the question of the week. So let's read us off and read some answers. But first, real quick, got to give a shout out to the Patreon subscribers because I didn't thank them yet today. So quick shout out to Tony, Sam, Ashley, Andrew, Fernando, Nate, Clement, Jerica, Tad, Sam, Luke, Ryan, Will, Chuck, Jacob, Sean, and David. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. And if you want to become a Patreon member, the link is in the description of the episode. Go check it out. So, thank you guys. And speaking of Patreon members, this question of the week is brought to you by one of our Patreon members. This is this question of the week came from Luke at Those Three Dudes podcast. Luke came up with the question of the week, which is, if the zombie apocalypse started while you were en route, what would you use to fight the hordes of undead?
I feel like a lot of people, because I feel like so many of us when we have a shitty day, when it's just your truck's loaded shitty. I can't wait. I didn't really look at how people answered this, but I was like, boy,
Like I said, I never looked.
I was thinking, I was like, there's so many drivers. I bet
surprised.
are probably like, boy, I wish I could catch a zombie on a certain day. Go ahead, man. Sorry, I thought that's what I thought we were on, but I wasn't sure.
Oh no, that's what we're on. So here we go, because we got a few of them. This one comes from past guest Tammy Martin. Upstick 47 says, "The green light of death is what she'll use to fight off the zombie, the horde of the undead."
Even the zombies would know. Even the zombies would run from the green light of death.
Right. They're like, oh no.
This one is from Swollen Gorilla. Says, the Dyad 6. Maybe it could actually be useful for something.
It's too small.
Oh man.
That's what she said.
Give it, Gabe. I was going to
That's
say,
my
Gabe.
favorite.
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah. I was hoping you'd insert a clip in there. I was
I'm always
either
on it,
gonna do the or one of them. I loved it.
I did that by accident
See
last
that-
episode, remember? I did that by accident.
One
Yeah,
sound. One sound makes me freaking laugh every time I hear it because it's like, oh. And I don't know why, and I know this is so bad because I never seen. I don't know if it's actually like from the live that y'all did or whatever. But the first time I heard it, I would literally just picture Luke with like something in his hand, being like, oh.
No, that's RJ.
RJ would have told me the same thing. Speaking of RJ, shout out real quick before, man. He did it. What the fuck did he sent me a video reply?
Yeah, I saw it too.
Did you see it? God,
Yeah,
he wouldn't even care if I said it, but he was doing it. Happier you do it, clap your hands. But he was using a dildo and smacking it on the table. That's what RJ. I was like, I about pissed my pants. I fucking sent him a video reply. I was like, Ashley. No. Anyways, yeah.
Anyways,
I love that guy. Love that guy.
Love you, RJ. This next one is from that dude Luke and me. Fuck's sake, I can never pronounce this dude.
I've always thought, is it the Michigan abbreviation? Is it MI from
Man.
Michigan? Yeah, you fucked that up for a long time, man.
That dude
He's even changed his ID. He's even
man.
changed his Instagram name.
I know he even
still
changed it
fucked
for
up.
me, and I still just butcher it.
Butcher it every time.
I'll never learn, buddy. This one says, probably have to finish breaking the high quality tongue extensions off my hand truck and use it as a club.
Say that one more time. The high quality.
We probably have to finish breaking the high quality tongue extensions off my hand truck and use it as a club.
I see what he's saying, man.
That's a good one.
That seems thin though, but it could be effective.
Yeah. Maybe go right through it. The zombie just, you know. This next one is from Dustin Coakley. Says, probably nothing in the package car. Hell, not even the car itself. Everything will just fall apart. Fuck. That's good. Ashley Pippin, Haley Bug Creation says, what the fuck? Put that brownie in sports mode and ram them.
Till it crumbles up.
This, oh boy, it's a long one. Shout out to Gio. At Pissed Off Yorker says, well, first I would look over my left shoulder before pulling off, and I would make sure I had space on all four sides, but always in front. I would look left, right, left, and count 1, 2, 3 out loud, and I would piss in a bottle. By doing this, it will confuse the zombies, and they would think that I'm one of them as I drive to a stale green light and scan steering wheels. Then I would fart in the back of the truck, so the next 10 stops, it would smell like death. As I bend at the knees and maintain 3 points of contact with opposite corners and some dog treats in my pocket while walking at a brisk pace and talking to myself about my next 2 stops and how I'm going to do them. Yep, totally fucking confused zombies.
I read that one and I was cracking up when I saw. First, I would look over my left shoulder. I was like, oh my gosh,
Oh, that was
he's
fucking
hilarious.
gold.
That's
That
good,
was
Gio.
gold. Oh my God, that was so good.
This one's from past guest Jeffrey Chandler at Art Gecko Studio. Says, unfortunately, I'd perished within the first 24 hours of a zombie apocalypse. My fighting skills are limited to delivering air on time and clocking out a full hour for lunch. Come on, Jeff.
Gotta do it.
Next one's from David Wakes. Says, I'd run him over and roll on to the next stop. Get her done. This one's from RJ at Porno Parcel. Says, I have a 13-foot furniture van. I'm dumping all my packages after running down as many zombies as possible. I'm picking up as many Amazon drivers as I can and throwing them to infected so the zombies don't scratch my truck. After that, I'm picking up all the drivers on my route and heading to the desert to establish further plans and making my truck into a zombie killing machine. Managers are welcome, but shall be used as bait if they dare try to ask how to handle a zombie apocalypse safely and sufficiently. Throwing them out. That's good. Oh, man. Next one here is from the Cowboy Cardboard Warrior. It says, I know where a guy has an armored car. I told him years ago that if there is a zombie apocalypse, that I would be stealing it.
It'd be a good thing to have.
That'd be a good thing to have.
Yeah.
This one here is from past guest Fernando. Fernando at Loiser Jr. 16 says, I'd rip off the damn cradle and wire it. What? Hold on a second. I'd rip off that damn cradle and the wire it's attached to and take solid baseball hacks at him. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, that thing, see that again there, that seems very, I wonder if he's got a die at 6 cradle. Even a die at 5 cradles, not. Fernando's a baseball guy, though. If he believes in his swing, man, I think he's got it.
Yeah, absolutely. This one here is from John Waddell. Says, there is more than one reason I carry a shovel.
There you go.
He's got a shovel in the back of that truck. This one here is from Samantha at Amantha says, how many zombies though?
It's a good question. I mean, if it's an apocalypse, I'm assuming
it's a horde.
You could have a horde. If you would have a horde, though,
how much is considered a horde?
I mean, I don't know.
Probably more than 10.
10 plus?
Yeah, 10.
I feel like 10
well,
plus.
no, I feel like a horde would be like 100. Because when I think, if I'm thinking like a horde, I don't know. I mean, it'd be a lot.
That's a solid question.
That would be more than, yeah, that is a good question. Good question, Samantha. That is the numbers play a factor. Because what I would use would not work against a horde. I would swing my walking tall post like the Rock for as long as I could, but I'd gas out after a couple. That horde would kill me.
This next one is from Jay Dizzy. Says, all the dildos we deliver.
Oh, there you go.
A lot of dildo talk on this episode for some odd reason. Here we are. Next
RJ's name got brought up.
Next one's from Scott Patton. Says, cradle. No other use for that piece of shit.
Yeah.
True. Most of them are broken anyways, so why not?
Exactly. Next one's from Dead Last Mike. Says, oh, fuck. Come on, Mike.
That IG name's so good. What is it? What did he say? Dead Last Mike.
Who says I want to survive? Jesus Christ.
Dead Last Mike. There might be that he is fitting his IG name then, but not dead. It'd be. Oh man, I was going to say dead first, Mike.
Want to live?
No.
Yeah. Next one is from Mao. Oh my God, new tongue. Next one's from Rocky Mountain Rots. Says, Hopefully, it's in the beginning of the day where I have plenty of packages to choose from for weapons.
Yeah.
That's
Good
good.
call.
That was going to be
call.
my thing. Like, go through. I would go through all the packages and find out what's in there. You never know.
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes you might even find a gun. You might have no ammo, but
That's true.
never know.
Yeah,
true.
that is true too, though.
That is true.
Still, you could club.
And you'd be like safe and secure in
with
there.
it.
You shut the back door, shut the bulkhead. You'll be good.
Yep.
You'll have time to go through
until they knock it all out because of the. I feel like they'd eventually make it through the door. Yeah, like especially the bulkhead.
Yeah, some of the bulkheads don't even connect on the bottom.
They're
So
just like crazy strong. Yeah, no, we have one at our job that like blows in the wind. You're like driving down the freeway and it's like blowing this way, and you're just like looking at it like,
I was thinking
the thing's about to fly off.
I used to have a bumper that had zip ties holding the half of it up for a while, so that thing wouldn't. Boy, I'm really losing.
Rip that off.
Yeah, that would be that thing would be a snack.
Next one is from Jawhebs. Jawheb. Jen is her name. Hi, Jen. This one's from Jen. Says, hopefully it's a space invisibility day. Oh my God. Hopefully it's a space invisibility day with a supervisor. Use them as a human shield. But then she says, joke, just joking.
Nah.
Fun thought. I hear you.
Next one's from Gimme More Cosplay. Says, I'd have no zombies. I'm in the middle of nowhere.
She's good then. She's just chilling, watching the rest of us fucking fight them off. Actually, no, I guess because you lose communication in the apocalypse, man. You wouldn't even get to see. You'd just be hanging out.
That's it. Next one is from Timothy Wood. Says, grabbing the biggest E-reg package as a bat for defense, hooking the tire chains backwards so they whip about Mad Max style, then driving like it's 10:28 on the way to your last air stop out to the safe zone. Mission accomplished. Tire chains. That's good. That's a good answer.
Oh, well, there's that there's also that emergency kit that sits underneath the
step.
Underneath the step. Doesn't it have like a crowbar and stuff in there or something? Or I don't know. I don't know what's in it. I just know some of our trucks, they're loose. You just got to hold on to them with your feet while you're driving so they don't fly out the door. But
there's triangles and stuff in there. I think that those could kill zombies. Those are pointed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Also have a fire extinguisher too. You can knock out some faces with those.
Ooh,
good.
That's a good. Damn.
Look at everybody thinking of using tools to assist.
We are ready, fellas and lady. We are ready. Let's go. Got two more left here. I'm not sure if you have any on Facebook, Luke, but we got two more left here. This one's from CL Bentley 5. Says, after I get my air delivered, of course, I'd throw the insane amount of piss bottles left in this truck at them. God damn it. This one's from the Henry Film Co. Says, I would use all of my pent up anger. You know, the anger from all the shitty people and drivers you deal with on a daily basis. I could make some zombie heads roll.
Oh, I fully believe that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean, man. There's to be a lot of drivers. Certain. I mean, that would make a lot. If you had a shitty day, your zombie count would go way up. You'd be just looking. You'd be looking.
You're just looking to just take some anger out.
I mean, why not? What else what are they gonna do? Fucking sue you?
Was there any on Facebook?
No, there was none on Facebook. It was all IG this time. Man.
So shout out to Luke at Those Three Dudes podcast for that question.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
A little fun one there. Thank you, buddy. So last but not least, Starla, we always ask our guests, do you have any questions for Luke and I?
And if you don't,
I feel like y'all been lost so many. I know. I feel like y'all have answered a lot of questions. I mean, I listened to the majority of the podcast. So, let me see. I don't know if y'all ever talked well, I know that y'all have gotten stuck and stuff, but have y'all ever physically been in an accident with work? Like,
nope. Knock on wood.
No, knock on. Well, see, I'll tell it real quick because
Had
it
a
was
tire
an
roll down the
accident.
hill and hit a house.
Well, no, I had that. Yeah, that went off that was off the books. But my one on the books was the roll. I had a roll away, but it wasn't really like it was a roll away because it did, but it just like it did nothing. I forget what I know I brought that up on at some point, but it was on like just a barely of an incline. And when I was walking back, I saw it start to go. And I was able to get in it, but when a car or anything's in neutral and it's not turned on, like I was pushing the brake down, and I felt like as I finally got it to go down, I cracked one thing of like of a fence post, and that was it. It really didn't, but that's so nothing like that sounded serious when you look at it on paper because you see roll away, but no, I don't have other than I mean, I could, that was EP rule. Look at me almost slipping up there, Dave. It wasn't company related, but yeah, I totaled a car with my body. I always got that one. I got hit by a Geo Prism going 30 plus. Yeah. Other than that, no, that's my only,
yeah. I had, my first, this was off the books, but, I had, it was on a Saturday. It was raining that day, and so we had our PCM, and the supervisor was like, "Guys, don't drive down any dirt roads today. If it's not cement, don't drive down it. Blah blah blah, whatever." Probably like hour and a half later, I gotta call this guy and tell him I got stuck in the mud because I decided to drive down a non-cemented road. But in my defense, there used to be a road there, okay? But you couldn't see it because it was like it's like part of the country. Like you turn off of a main road and then there's like a road and then it turns into a road. Well, I guess they were doing construction because they decided they were going to build houses there or something. And so they had tore up the road. So it was all dirt. Mm-hmm. Well, I started to drive down it and I looked at it and I saw it was like a clear, straight path to the house. And I was like, okay, I could totally make it. Shit, how am I going to get back? Because I can't turn around. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start backing up right now. So I started backing up and I had it. I was good. I was almost in the clear. And for some reason, my back left tire slid off the path that I was on. And right then and there, I was like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. I threw it in drive. I was like, nee! I was like, no. So I sit there and I was like, oh, my God, I'm going to have to call him. I'm going to call him. I'm stuck. So I call him and he answers the phone and he's like, hey. And the first thing I say is, he goes, what? And I was like, I fucked up. And I started crying.
Oh, so you went down the dirt road, did you?
He goes, what did you do? I got stuck in the mud. And he's like, didn't I just fucking tell you I'm not to drive down a dirt road? And I was like, I know, but I totally had it. Yeah, I didn't have it.
Hey,
and what makes it even funnier though?
I do that crap all the time.
Drive down to get me. So he had to park the truck at a convenience store, probably about half a mile down the street. He had to walk in the rain to me. And eventually, somebody actually picked him up and drove him halfway. He got out and he had to walk down the path. And by the time he got to me, he was like mud from like, I want to say up to his knees. Like he was drenched. So when he got up on the truck and he just looked at me, I just instantly, I broke down. I started crying. And he was getting mud all in the truck because I didn't even step out of the truck. And he was getting mud everywhere. And I just remember there was like this whole thing. And of course, everybody heard about it by the end of the day. So the next day, they were talking, or like they had another PCM and they were talking about people getting stuck in the mud. And I was trying not to laugh. And I didn't think it was as funny, but people were laughing. And so for me, when I get uncomfortable with situations, because they knew about it and they thought it was funny, I started laughing. And so he actually got mad that he was like, it's not funny. And I'm just sitting there like, it's not funny. Nope, it's not funny. But like to this day, everybody makes a joke. We're just like, don't get stuck in the mud, please.
That was I gotta say before we end, because I had to say, because I was on the phone with Dave the other day. That was that last week when I was like, I went down this road. It was
You were
I
just
saw
like,
you laughing,
I don't
dude. I
even
knew
know
that's what you were thinking.
you were like.
I was
you were
like,
on one, bud.
I said, dude, I haven't been down this. I don't go down this road. I don't know. Fuck it. I'm going. I'm going. And I was like, oh shit, I'm out of payment. It's just grass. The road's gone. The road's gone. But I ended up
it wasn't even like that. Like all you hear is like the truck in the back, like everything's cracking around, smashing around in the background. He's all driving, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh shit, I'm out of the road. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where the payment went. I'm a fucking road's going. He's just like freaking out.
I was way more frantic than I might have just let off. So okay, never mind.
At least that's how it sounded on my end. I was like, you good?
That's probably more accurate.
You were on one that day, I think, though. So I think you were just all amped up. But anyways, all right. I think that's gonna do it, guys. Starla,
Still hear me?
you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Starla.
My headphones died on me, so I'm like, I don't know what happened.
That's okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
You're good. We're gonna wrap it up right now. So, like I was saying, Starla, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome. A lot of good stories.
Oh, absolutely.
I have a lot more. Trust me.
We'll have to have a part two.
It's just
we'll
like
have
one
to have
of
a
those
part
random
two.
things. You're just like, I don't know how to tell all those different stories. But yeah, there's a lot of stories.
There's always, like I said, there's always, the door's always open for sure.
That's right. So thank you for joining us. And
thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, thanks for coming on. I just appreciate everything. Like I said, it worked out. It was smooth, worked out great. So yeah, I'm just thanks so much for coming on. It's been awesome.
Absolutely. So don't go anywhere so we can say goodbye off air. Everybody else, continue delivering greatness. Don't forget your most important stuff, guys. Okay, so everyone be safe out there, and we'll see you guys next week.
Later, everybody.
Bye.